Hi, my name is Bret Ladago. I'm a fisheries biologist with the Vermont Fish and Wildlife Department. I'm here today to talk to everybody a little bit about our fish culture system. So we have 5 fish culture stations spread throughout the state. We raise a variety of different species for a number of different purposes. So the species that we raise in these different fish culture stations are trout. So we have rainbow trout, brown trout, brook trout, lake trout. Then we also do some steelhead, some Atlantic salmon, and we also have a walleye culture program that occurs in 2 of our fish culture stations. So we have a variety of species, and we use these species in different areas throughout the state for a variety of different purposes. So in some areas where we have waters that maybe don't have great habitat anymore, they're a little bit warm, we put fish in there so that people can catch them. So places that are really popular to fish that will never really have good conditions for wild trout, we put some of these fish in there so people have the ability to go out, spend some time with their friends and their families, catch these fish, and if they'd like, take them home for a meal. So that's one thing that we use these fish for. Another one is for restoration. So we have species that are native to Vermont that have been here for hundreds of years, but for some reason or another, they're not doing as well as they may have once done. So we use these fish to supplement those wild stocks that we have. So an example would be walleye that are stocked into Lake Champlain, Atlantic salmon, lake trout. These are all restoration programs that we put these native species back into these areas where there may have been some environmental impact in the past that made them decrease. So now we're helping to add these fish so that they grow up, that they're big, and in some cases they spawn and we see wild fish that become of these populations. So for example, in Lake Champlain, we've been stocking lake trout since the 70s when the population's pretty much crashed. Now all of a sudden we're seeing wild trout show up after decades of stocking these fish. So that's a really cool success story that we have. Similarly with walleye, we're seeing some natural reproduction occur. A lot of it still is those fish that are stocked, and we do some comparisons. So we have the ability to take those adult fish, we can actually look at the different fish to see, did this one come from the wild or did this come from one of our fish culture stations? So those are the 2 big reasons we do this. The third reason that we tend to stock fish is for waters that maybe don't have wild fish, but they have the ability to hold fish for a long period of time. So these are what we call maintenance waters, or grow and take, where we'll put in small fish, they'll grow to a large size so that people can go and catch them, and then sort of let nature do the feeding and the growing of the fish. Whereas those ones where we're putting them in so that people can catch them and bring them home to eat, that's more of what we do in the hatchery. Is we'll feed these fish, they'll grow, and then we'll put them into these waters so that people can go and take them. So in those waters, we really do want people to go in, fish for them, catch them, take them home if they'd like, and eat them, because it does provide a local source of food for your table, if that's something that you'd like to do. So another benefit of these fish culture stations is that it really does provide an economic benefit for the state. In a previous survey they did on a national analysis of the economic benefit, it was found that Vermont created roughly $131 million in economic revenue just from fishing. So people that are taking trips, coming to Vermont to appreciate the resource, everybody in Vermont is gaining from people coming in and doing that. So there's a huge economic benefit to these fish that we're putting them in, and people really enjoy fishing. So we just did a survey that looked at all Vermont, it looked at a sample of Vermont anglers in 2019 and found that they spend about a little over 2 million days a year fishing in the state. So if you think about that number of days squished into 1 year, that's a lot of people out on the water at any one time that are taking advantage of the resource that we're working really hard to provide for those folks to come out, enjoy, and spend time with their friends and family in the outdoors.